Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andrew Stringer, in case you didn't know who I am. Today we are going to talk a little bit about net neutrality. Because I could say I'm a little passionate about it. I want to start off by saying that I'm a conservative. And today I've been listening to conservative talk radio all day. And all day, conservatives have been saying that millennials are stupid for thinking that net neutrality needs to be a thing and all this stuff. Well, I'm going to just say that all the people that I've heard say this are old, and their point that they're trying to prove is that if there's no government regulation on it, then, oh Christ. If there's no government regulation on it, then, the government can't control content and such. So, but the thing is that they don't understand. You see, I'm an IT technician and I work in the tech industry, so I have a real world knowledge of what tech companies do. So when they say that, there's no monopolies and, it's all about competition and it's going to grow the economy, this, that, and the other thing. Listen, I love competition. Don't get me wrong. I love competition and I've got a very conservative view on economics. But I'm here to tell you, and they'll be like, there's laws on monopolies, blah, 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 blah. Sure there are. Sure. There's laws on monopolies. Let me tell you a little something real quick. So I live in Hanover County, Virginia. And if you want high-speed internet, you have to get that high-speed internet from Comcast, Xfinity, whatever you want to call it these days. Okay? They're the only provider of high-speed internet in Hanover County. Now, that's funny because, how could that be? They can't have a monopoly. Okay, so there's another high-speed provider. Verizon delivers high-speed out there. Do you know what they call high-speed that Verizon brings out here? It's not Fios. It's not that, super fast fiber optic network that you would like to believe. In fact, Hanover County, it's a kind of a long story back and forth between Verizon and Hanover about why the Verizon network hasn't reached Hanover County when it's, of course, all over greater Richmond area already. But all they provide is DSL. DSL is considered high-speed internet, which anybody who knows anything about technology knows that's not really high speed at all. I might, DSL is, I might as well have a 56K modem with the sort of data that people are pushing through their computers these days. That's what it would feel like. So, in a sense, you don't really have high-speed internet. You can make the argument, you can get, a cellular modem, that runs off 4G, and that's high speed. That is, and actually, I'll tell you what, the speeds that I get from Verizon Wireless are so much better than Comcast that I actually use my cell phone more than I use my actual internet provider. Comcast. So, and that's the thing. That's the whole thing behind this. Comcast is garbage. It's really horrible service. And you know what? We're stuck with it out here. And people don't know any better. And people think, oh, well, I need high-speed internet. Let's get that. And they get that. And Comcast treats their customers like garbage. And it's just, an S show. So, this is the thing. When you say there's not a monopoly, there's rules against monopolies. There are, but it's kind of a gray area. You see, companies can throttle speeds like Verizon. I'm only going to allow 15 megabytes up, 3 megabytes down, or 15 megabytes down, 3 megabytes up. Horrible speeds, And then you've got Comcast saying, oh, well, you can get up to 300 megabytes speed. But what they don't tell you is, and it's probably in the fine print, is that this quote is always in the fine print of every major service provider. Speeds can vary, and they're not. Do not drive into me, sir. Speeds can vary, and are not, reliable, or I don't remember the exact verbiage that they use, but it's ridiculous. And it's true, because they're like, oh yeah, you can get speeds up to 300. So I'm like, okay, cool, I get that. And then I've got a download speed of like 250, which is close, not really all the way there. But then my upload speed is 15. So the thing about net neutrality is you can't have like companies throttling certain things. They already do that. They like, for instance, they're like, oh yeah, go to speedtest.net, check your speed test. They prioritize the speeds, or any packets going, for you people that don't know what packets are, just any data going to the speedtest.net servers. So they prioritize that, meaning it's going to be faster going there than it will be any other site. They do that already. That's the whole reason why Netflix came up with their own speed test thing, and it goes to the Netflix servers because they wanted to show people what they were actually getting. And when you speed test from Netflix, you get really horrible speeds. Why? Because the traffic going to Netflix's server is deprioritized. It's downsized. They take it down and they don't prioritize it. So you need. I am all about small government. I don't want the government in any part of my life, except for the internet, because they can't, like, these big businesses. Cox, there's no competition. Okay, Cox, Verizon, Time Warner, Comcast, all these. There's no competition going on here. They all own certain sectors. As an IT technician, there are certain places you can go, and there will only be one provider for that area. And if you try to get a different provider, the service is gonna be terrible, because it's not that they've monopolized on the customers, they've monopolized on the network. So what you would have to do is you would have to have the government put into place some regulations where everybody can use the, like, say Verizon runs fiber all the way up the East Coast. And now a lot of people are going to say, whoa, you can't do this. But you would have to let everybody use that fiber. So Comcast could use that fiber, CenturyLink, Time Warner, anybody could use that fiber, because what now you're going to say, oh, well, they spend it. They can rent it, as a utility. And Google was actually thinking about doing this, I heard the other day. I need to look up an article on it and read more about it, because it's interesting to me, and I think that it's actually a really good idea to just kind of have the national fiber network be a utility that, you know, the fiber providers provide as like a service, you know? And I think it would really, really do well for the nation if everybody, like, if fiber became more readily available. If everybody could have fiber to their door, it would become inexpensive, you know, because honestly, and it wouldn't be a bad deal for Verizon. If Verizon started renting out their fiber to all the companies, you know, they would start getting money for their fiber, more money than they were already getting, because right now they're only getting money from their customers. But if they started getting money from the companies that have other customers, their competition, then they can expand their fiber network, therefore, in expanding, you know, the speeds, that in turn expanding everything. But right now, everybody has a monopoly on their own stuff. If Comcast runs some coax cable down the road and hooks it up to 12 houses, that's their network, and no one else can do that. They monopolized that copper or fiber wire that they ran down the road. So you may think that, oh, there's no monopoly and there's stuff in place against monopolies. Those rules, regulations, and laws against monopolies are old as dirt, and as old as a lot of you people are. So why I'm trying to tell you this is net neutrality isn't this bad, horrible thing where the government is going to control what we have and do all this and do all that. You are misconstruing things. I understand, us conservatives, we want government out of our lives, but at the same time, it just doesn't make sense for us to be gouged, which we are. We're being gouged. Comcast's prices have skyrocketed. I mean, I remember when I could get, you know, telephone and internet for $80, and now I'm paying $300. I mean, it's outrageous. And they're allowed to do whatever they want. Oh, but there's the competition and it's growing the economy. It's growing those fat pockets of the people who own these companies. It's not doing us a darn, and we can't have our information. This is the information age. Do you guys realize that? We're in the information age. There was the Bronze Age, all these ages, right? This is the information age, and you can't just hinder that, because the people who are the providers of the access to the information are being greedy. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm all about capitalism, but this is kind of nuts. And if because they can, you know, if someone rubs them the wrong way, they can say, oh, well, you know what, no traffic going to this. And we're already getting that way. Because right now, there's a big battle going on between Amazon and Google, because Amazon says, oh, I'm not going to sell any Google Chromecast or Google Homes and da-da-da-da-da, because it's, you know, it's the direct competitor to our Alexa. And it's like, okay, so you know what Google said? Google said, well, you know what? You guys can't have YouTube on our stuff. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I read an article yesterday that they backed off and they said, all right, well, we're going to start selling some of your things again. They haven't said when their items are going to be available on their site, but these sort of things already exist. And, you know, people, these companies aren't shy about, you know, stopping certain other companies. So, I mean, they're not afraid of shutting down another company and, you know, throttling them or restricting them from doing things. They're all about that. And, I mean, you know, they have the right to do that. I mean, this is a free enterprise. It's a, you know, it's a free market. So if they don't want to sell Google's things, they don't have to. And that's, you know, their prerogative. If Amazon doesn't want to sell their stuff, that's fine. But at the same time, you know, Google doesn't have to provide them YouTube to all their Alexa devices and stuff like that, or their Fire Sticks. So, I mean, it's a two-way street, and I guess, you know, it does create for an interesting market. But at the same time, when it coming, you know, bringing it back into like the provider's world, I just don't think you guys grasp how serious of an issue it is. And it kills me because I hear all these conservative talk radios that I idolize. It's like, oh, you know, I want to be a radio talk show host one day, and you know, I'm a conservative man, and you know, I listen to you guys all day long. And to hear you guys, all these millennials are losing their minds. They think it's the end of the world. Blah, 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 blah. I'm here to tell you, it's not the end of the world, but it is a critical issue that maybe you don't fully understand. You guys think that there's all these cable companies out here that are doing fair business practices. They're not. They haven't been. So, I don't know where you guys get off thinking that this is just some fun, happy game where people like to pay their cable companies. People hate their cable companies. All of, like, Comcast gets the most, like, chatter online about how disgruntled their customers are. It's not we're not like throwing a temper tantrum because, you know, oh, we want our internet, we want it fast. Well, we do want our internet and we do want it fast, but at the same time, we want it for a reasonable price, and we don't want to be gouged by these cable companies, which they're already gouging us. So basically, if we do not have net neutrality, they could say, oh, they could say, oh, you know what, we're going to cut the internet down to, you know, fit everyone. Everyone's going to have 15 megabytes. But if you pay the extra, you know, $1,000 to get those gigabit speeds, $1,000 to get gigabit speeds, it's ridiculous. And that's what we're looking for here. It might not be a big deal to people who have money coming out of their ears, but I know people with money coming out of their ears, and they don't want to spend trillions of dollars on internet. It just doesn't make sense. It's information. We should be able to access it as we please. So when you guys say that it's not that big a deal, it's going to create, you know, this whole like job market, it's not. If you guys are arguing that, hey, there's going to be a new company that's going to come in and offer free internet, and it's going to be great, and that business is going to flourish, and it's going to be so good. No, it's not. Because guess what? These companies like Cox, Comcast, you know, Verizon, they have their networks set in place. They don't have to build anything. They've been working on it for years. They don't have to do anything. Do you know, I mean, like, I would like you guys to sit down with someone from Verizon or Comcast and try and figure out how difficult it was for them to build this giant network that they have. That is theirs, that they have a monopoly on. That is like their stuff. People can't just use Verizon's network. So, for a customer to just another business to just come in and say, we're going to have things and we're going to slash the prices and we're going to use, you know, their fiber. No, they're not. Because if Verizon sees someone using their fiber and cutting the prices in half and taking half of their customers away, what do you think that they're going to do? They're going to jack the prices up to that business. And then that business is going to have to jack their prices up. And then they lose their edge. So, just put some net neutrality in the system. Because seriously, it's the other thing that's like killing me. Oh, the internet was fine like 15 years ago when it was invented. It's like, first of all, the internet wasn't invented 15 years ago. And second of all, do you know how much technology has grown in that amount of time? We are nowhere near where we were in the early 2000s, nor in the 90s. We are so far gone past that. People have gigabit speeds in their house. If you told a techie in like 2000 that people would have gigabit internet in their house, their head would explode. It's that nuts. You guys don't get it. You're not tech geniuses. You're political analysts. And I'm telling you, this isn't political. This is trying to help the people of our country not spend a crap load of money on just getting information. And you know, the people that are fighting for net neutrality are all about information. And if they see even a hint of something saying that the government is going to block something on the internet, you best believe that the people supporting it will revoke it quicker than you can say, what the heck? Because we want all of our information. That's the whole reasoning behind it. We don't want them saying, oh, well, if you want to go to foxnews.com, you've got to pay a little extra. That's what net neutrality is. Do you want people to not be able to go to rushlimbaugh.com without paying X amount of dollars? Because that's what we're looking at here. It's not political. It's making sure the freedom of speech and the freedom of press and the freedom of information is all good and copacetic and not going anywhere. So you guys are dead wrong when you guys say, oh, you know, oh, this is just, you know, some liberal stuff. Oh, this is some Obama. This is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Obama came up with it. But you know what? It's actually something that's not crazy. And as a conservative, I can say that because I'm in the tech industry and this is not something to joke with. I mean, this is something we really can't take away because these corporations do not give a S about us. They will jack those prices up so quick and they know they can do it. It's not about competition at all. Stop saying it's about competition and growing the industry. It's not. They jack those prices up and we will pay them. Why? Because we have to. It's all there is to it. There's no like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna switch over to this company. There is no this company. Just FYI. Oh, the people will start up businesses. This is technology we're talking about, not selling cakes. Someone started selling cakes for $500. Yeah, someone's going to say, oh, hell with that. I'm going to start up a company and sell cakes for $5. People are going to crap their pants. This isn't that. This is like if that company said, we're selling cake for $500, but then they also had a monopoly on all the ingredients of cake and said, oh, you want to sell cake? Well, you got to buy these ingredients that cost $500. So it's not what you guys think it is. It takes a lot to send internet at high speeds to every person in the nation. It's not cheap, and a business can't just start up in a day and say, oh, we're going to give free internet away. Because they can. It'll suck, and people will be pissed about it. So think again before saying, oh, this is just some liberal crazy, and start talking about some other liberal plans and saying it's just like that. Well, what did I hear earlier today on the news? I'm so flustered by this. I'm sorry. You guys are comparing net neutrality to like Obamacare or something like that. And I'm just like, what? How How do you compare those things to each other? Millennials are freaking out about this because we understand how the internet works, and you old fogies don't. It's not going to create competition overnight. It's going to create people in debt because of their cable companies. Sorry for getting crazy there. It's just, I've literally been listening to talk show host after talk show host after talk show host after talk show house bashing net neutrality and calling it some liberal garbage when they don't even understand what they're talking about. So, and the thing is they're all like referencing, oh, my kids are yelling at me about it. Oh, my kids are yelling at me about it too. Oh, my kids are yelling at me about it. Blah, blah. Have you listened to what they're saying to you? Oh, but they don't know what they're talking about. They're going to realize 10 years down the road that nothing really happened. They're going to realize 10 years down the road that they've been spending a lot of money on cable or internet. So think again. They're not regulating the internet. They're regulating the prices. They're regulating the companies so that they don't go nuts and hammer us with prices. It's actually not a bad thing. So please look into it a little bit more, and please understand what it takes to actually get internet to people's houses, because I don't think any of you people do. It's really disconcerting. And this is only going to, people who are fighting against net neutrality, specifically people who have talk radio shows. So please understand, I'm an IT technician. Okay, I work on this stuff. Okay, I know the industry like the back of my hand. Okay, and it's not what you guys are thinking it is. These companies aren't out here, dabbing it up and being like, oh, you take that customer, all right, yeah, no, you got them on the plan, whatever. No. It's not like that. For instance, let me just give you this one last example. In Richmond, Virginia, we've got Comcast and we've got Verizon. Okay? Oh, you're going to say, that's competition. It's competition right there. It's healthy. It is. It is. With Verizon, you'll probably pay a pretty penny, but you will also get the best internet there is. With Comcast, you'll also probably pay a pretty penny, but you'll also get the worst internet there is. And the thing is, Verizon's not available at every house, so you got to go and you got to check and you got to make sure. And that's the thing with these companies. They're not always available at your house. If you go to a place in, I have a lot of friends that live in the city, and they, they're constantly trying to, get internet service, and they're like, I'm stuck with this darn Comcast because Verizon won't bring it to my house, but the people down the road have it, 3 blocks down the road, they have it, and they're all happy, blah, blah, blah. It's just the way it is. And you can't say there's rules against monopolies when this isn't really, there's really no way around it. If the customer's the only customer, or if the company is the only company that comes to that customer's SOL, because that's what they got. That's what they're going to have to deal with. It's not like that everywhere. And a lot of times in suburban areas and stuff like that, you'll be able to get multiple different, you can have Comcast, or you can have, because they're developed and everything like that. And that's great. But in rural and urban areas, it's not the same. So you just got to think about that. Because there's not always a healthy competition going on. Sometimes there is a monopoly that you aren't aware of. So that's what net neutrality is here to prevent, is that monopoly that they get. And like, oh, well, we're the only ones that go out there, and bam. It's like, sure, you can have Verizon. It'll be slow as dirt, DSL, but it's an option. You can always take that option. No one's going to take that option. They're going to fork up the money for the good internet. So just think again when you're thinking that this is, just some crazy, liberal garbage. Because it's actually probably one of the best things. And probably the only government regulation that I will be for. I like I said earlier, I want government control way out of my life. I don't want any. I want the smallest government imaginable. But if they can take a step in and make sure that cable companies aren't jousting us a little bit, it's probably a good thing. So before you guys give your political opinions to the masses, don't be fake news. Please, don't be fake news. Do a little more research. It's, I also hear that, you guys talking, oh, I've done my research and I know both sides of the story. I don't think you do. Because you don't talk about the other side of the story. If you knew about the other side of the story, you wouldn't be so biased. Tell people about the other side. What you get with net neutrality. All I've heard from these talk radio stations is how bad it is. And how no, and you should vote no, and absolutely not, and you should be happy that it's not, and blah, 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 blah. Do you know that the former CEO, or I don't know if it's the CEO, I don't know what his position was, but like one of the executives of Verizon is on like the executive board of the FCC in charge of this right now? And you wonder why it's gone? Because they want no regulation on them. They want to be able to do whatever the hell they want. But what the hell do they want to do? They want more money in their pockets. So don't be stupid. And where's that money going to come from? Us. And it's not going to be at a slow rate. So just think again, please. And don't be fake news. Do a little more research.